God allows us to experience the low points of life in order to teach us lessons that we could learn in no other way. You can begin as if nothing had ever gone wrong, white as snow. Everyone thinks forgiveness is a lovely idea until he has something to forgive. Now, the trouble about trying to make yourself stupider than you really are is that you very often succeed. Spiteful words can hurt your feelings, but silence breaks your heart. Gratitude looks to the past, and love to the present. Fear, avarice, lust, and ambition look ahead. Things never happen the same way twice. The pain I feel now is the happiness I had before. That's the deal. Nothing you have not given away will ever really be yours. When we lose one blessing, another is often most unexpectedly given in its place. Write about what really interests you, whether it is real things or imaginary things, and nothing else. We live, in fact, in a world starved for solitude, silence, and private, and therefore starved for meditation and true friendship. If you love deeply, you're going to get hurt badly, but it's still worth it. The great thing to remember is that though our feelings come and go, God's love for us does not. Adventures are never fun while you're having them. Courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at the testing point, which means at the point of highest reality. It is a very funny thing that the sleepier you are, the longer you take about getting to bed. Do not dare not to dare. Good and evil both increase at compound interest. You never know how much you really believe anything until its truth or falsehood becomes a matter of life and death to you. You can't know, you can only believe or not. I was with book, as a woman is with child. Progress means getting nearer to the place you want to be. And if you have taken a wrong turn, then to go forward does not get you any nearer. No man knows how bad he is till he has tried very hard to be good. Do not waste time bothering whether you love your neighbor. Act as if you did. As soon as we do this, we find one of the great secrets. When you are behaving as if you loved someone, you will presently come to love him. Aim at heaven and you will get earth thrown in. Aim at earth and you will get neither. A woman's heart should be so close to God that a man should have to chase him to find her. I sat with my anger long enough until she told me her real name was grief. All shall be done, but it may be harder than you think. There is a kind of happiness and wonder that makes you serious. It is too good to waste on jokes. Suspicion often creates what it suspects. To what will you look for help if you will not look to that which is stronger than yourself. But one of the worst results of being a slave and being forced to do things is that when there is no one to force you anymore, you find you have almost lost the power of forcing yourself. No great wisdom can be reached without sacrifice. Surely what a man does when he has taken off his guard is the best evidence for what sort of man he is. If a man thinks he is not conceited, he is very conceited indeed. Prosperity knits a man to the world. He feels that he is finding his place in it, while really it is finding its place in him. One of the most cowardly things ordinary people do is to shut their eyes to facts. When things go wrong, you'll find they usually go on getting worse for some time. But when things once start going right, they often go on getting better and better. My own eyes are not enough for me. I will see through those of others. It takes courage to live through suffering, and it takes honesty to observe it. Awake, love, think, speak, be walking trees, be talking beasts, be divine waters. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. People who bore one another should meet seldom. People who interest one another often. In great literature, I become 1,000 different men, but still remain myself. Die before you die. There is no chance after. Miracles do not, in fact, break the laws of nature. Failures are fingerposts on the road to achievement. Eros will have naked bodies, friendship, naked personalities. If you do one good deed, your reward usually is to be set to do another and harder and better one. If you want to get warm, you must stand near the fire. If you want to be wet, you must get into the water. If you want joy, power, peace, eternal life, you must get close to, or even into, the thing that has them. There are a dozen views about everything until you know the answer. Then there's never more than one. We are what we believe we are. Repentance means unlearning all the self-conceit and self-will that we have been training ourselves into. It means killing part of yourself, undergoing a kind of death. Don't let your happiness depend on something you may lose. In your life, you meet people. Some you never think about again. Some you wonder what happened to them. There are some that you wonder if they ever think about you. And then there are some that you wish you never have to think about again. But you do. It is better to forget about yourself altogether. The hardness of God is kinder than the softness of men, and his compulsion is our liberation. We need not despair even in our worst, for our failures are forgiven. The only fatal thing is to sit down content with anything less than perfection. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. Only a real risk tests the reality of a belief. The real problem is not why some pious, humble, believing people suffer, but why some do not. Do not by any means destroy yourself, for if you live, you may yet have good fortune, but all the dead are dead-like. It is not your business to succeed, but to do right. When you have done so, the rest lies with God. One always feels better when one has made up one's mind. You are never too old to set a new goal or to dream a new dream. What do they teach them at these schools? We can never know what might have been, but what is to come is another matter entirely. If you wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., it is a sign of spiritual awakening or inner growth. It is believed that during this time, your spiritual energy is most active, and the universe or your soul may be trying to send you a message. We cannot understand. The best is perhaps what we understand least. This moment contains all moments. Like a good chess player, Satan is always trying to maneuver you into a position where you can save your castle only by losing your bishop. People shouldn't call for demons unless they really mean what they say. A pleasure is full-grown only when it is remembered. When a man is getting better, he understands more and more clearly the evil that is still left in him. When a man is getting worse, he understands his own badness less and less. Everyone feels benevolent if nothing happens to be annoying him at the moment. Joy is the serious business of heaven. What we learn from experience depends on the kind of philosophy we bring to experience. The only things we can keep are the things we freely give to God. What we try to keep for ourselves is just what we are sure to lose. Tea should be taken in solitude. There might be things more terrible even than losing someone you love by death. Things always work according to their nature. When you have reached your own room, be kind to those who have chosen different doors and to those who are still in the hall. For the greater the love, the greater the grief, and the stronger the faith, the more savagely will Satan storm its fortress. No soul that seriously and constantly desires joy will ever miss it. Those who seek, find. To those who knock, it is opened. Shut your mouth, open your eyes and ears. Don't shine so others can see you. Shine so that through you, others can see Him. Nothing is wonderful except in the abnormal, and nothing is abnormal until we have grasped the norm. All names will soon be restored to their proper owners. Joy is not a substitute for sex. Sex is very often a substitute for joy. I sometimes wonder whether all pleasures are not substitutes for joy. Thirst was made for water, inquiry for truth. Even in social life, you will never make a good impression on other people until you stop thinking about what sort of impression you're making. God has infinite attention, infinite leisure to spare for each one of us. He doesn't have to take us in the line. You're as much alone with Him as if you were the only thing He'd ever created. The next best thing to being wise oneself is to live in a circle of those who are. Being nice doesn't make you stupid. It makes you feel good because you know you are gracious enough to forgive and smart enough to realize how distasteful some people can be. Those who are enjoying something or suffering something together are companions. Those who enjoy or suffer one another are not. It is much easier to pray for a bore than to go visit him. If war is ever lawful, then peace is sometimes sinful. The harder you tried not to think, the more you thought. Human history is the long, terrible story of man trying to find something other than God, which will make him happy. If you live for the next world, you get this one in the deal. But if you live only for this world, you lose them both. Isn't it funny how day by day nothing changes, but when we look back, everything is different? 100% of us die, and the percentage cannot be increased. Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Extraordinary things only happen to extraordinary people. The distinction between pretending you are better than you are and beginning to be better in reality is finer than moral sleuth hounds conceive. God can make good use of all that happens, but the loss is real. The difference between the old and the new education being. In a word, the old was a kind of propagation, men transmitting manhood to men. The new is merely propaganda. Life is too deep for words. So don't try to describe it, just live it. I do not expect old heads on young shoulders. Be just and merciful and brave. Of all bad men, religious bad men are the worst. Have fun. Even if it's not the same kind of fun everyone else is having. Discussions usually separate us. Actions sometimes unite us. Getting over a painful experience is much like crossing monkey bars. You have to let go at some point in order to move forward. I am sure that God keeps no one waiting unless He sees that it is good for him to wait. Integrity is doing the right thing, even when no one is watching.